Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and in this video I wanted to do a bit of a primer because there's some pretty big news coming in Final Fantasy XIV this week, and for a lot of people it will be the first time experiencing an event like this. For those of you who don't know, the Letter from the Producer Live number 66 will be taking place on Friday, September 17th at 7 p.m. Pacific Time. And in that live letter, in their own words, they'll be announcing job adjustments and battle-related updates for Endwalker. Now, we always have a live letter that is like this, where we finally get some insight into some of the things that will be changing for the next expansion. We're pretty much in the dark at this point, outside of knowing new jobs and a few things that we can expect them to talk about. But I'm getting a ton of questions about what we should expect to see or what we shouldn't expect to see. So I've gone back and watched the old live letters that would be filling the similar slot, and I wanted to share with you what I'm predicting we will see. These are just predictions, by the way. They could still show things that I don't predict, and they could show things I don't think will happen at all. So just giving myself a bit of space there. So the first and most important thing I expect to see is none other than the job action trailer. Before every expansion, they basically make a compilation of all the jobs, show off some skills we recognize, but also maybe show a new gauge on the screen or show off some new animations for skills. So we don't really learn too much about how the job plays, even though you can usually infer some of it, but we get to see all the flashy new skills and also get to hear a bit of the new soundtrack. And we've heard some pretty killer tracks in these job action trailers in the past. Now, I've also looked at some of the old job action trailers, and historically they do one of the new jobs at the start of the video, the other new job towards the end. Of course, it's a little bit different for Heavensward, which had 3 new jobs, and then they do some job last. They did Paladin for Stormbloods, oddly, and then they did Dark Knight for Shadowbringers, which made sense, but we'll probably see Paladin last for this one, so I expect them to do it in that order for some reason again. Also, previously, this has been showcased midway into the broadcast and not at the very start. And then they'll usually play it back again, and Yoshida and Foxconn will rewatch it with commentary. Speaking of commentary, reminder that this live letter will be live translated in English. We will not have unofficial translations. We will have our answers right there on the spot. Now, with a job action trailer, of course, comes a little bit of a job action showcase. Yoshi P usually logs into a private client and maybe cycles through the jobs and talks about them a little bit. Historically, they've done slides for changes they're doing across roles, and they kind of generalized more important changes, only really showing off the really important ones so that people understand it a little bit more in depth. Maybe he'll hover over some abilities, talk about some of the things that they're changing, but it's going to depend on the job. Different jobs get more or less airtime depending on how far along development they are or how much is actually changing. And even then, I think this is going to be a little bit different than what we're normally used to with job action related live letters, because it's longer than the previous ones, and they seem to be intent on this one being almost entirely about battle related changes, whereas in live letters similar to this one in the past, we'd still hear things about, new side quest systems or fates or anything that's kind of tangential without going too in depth. And that could still happen here, but the question really becomes, how much about job actions are we going to see? And honestly, if the old ones are anything to go by, not as much as people would lead you to believe. They might leave a lot of that for the media tour information that will be coming out at some point after that, and just give you kind of a taste of what it is they're going to be changing, and to show you a few things here or there. Another very important thing we expect to see is the stat squish. We're very likely to see, since they're logged into a private client, the new HP and damage values in action. Now, I do expect them to make mention of other systems that have kind of flown under the radar a little bit. The materia system is a big one, because with them adjusting all the values, they're going to have to adjust how much in the way of substats that materia gives you, most likely. Now, that of course depends on if they're only adjusting our damage outputs or if they're going to take the time to actually adjust our gear inputs and outputs, like what it actually says on our gear, the values there, which aren't very large, but they may take the opportunity to do that as well. I'm personally of the opinion, and this is a wish, something I want them to do, nothing that they have indicated they will do, that they kind of rework materia, because materia is a bit of a mess right now. It's not super easy to get into as a new player, and the amount of materia with awkward numbering sequences and, being able to overmeld this and not overmeld. I think the system could use a refresher, including an educational one so the player is a little bit more in the know about how it works. Another huge thing I expect to see is PvP changes. I will be surprised if this section doesn't run at least 30 minutes because they're going to be doing a new mode, there's going to be new major gameplay adjustments, and most importantly to me, new reward structures. They are going to be trying to encourage PvP on a casual basis. Now we know they're going to be turning off the Feast ranked for some time after Endwalker itself actually releases, and I'm assuming they'll probably have to address that here again. But they need to give this section a lot of love, in my opinion. I know we joke about it. I joke about it. But it's not because we don't want it to be better. It's because we don't enjoy it now. And if they can really nail this, we might just have a little bit more to be excited about when it comes to Endwalker's release. So PvP changes, anything related to it, I expect will take up a significant portion of time in this live letter. Now, there are a bunch of other miscellaneous things. Again, I mentioned that they could bring up a lot of stuff very quickly, you know, crafting and gathering related stuff, Island Sanctuary. They could bring up those things very briefly, even if just as reminders for people who haven't been keeping up with the news. But we don't expect them to spend too much time on things that are not combat related, or at least combat adjacent, I suppose. Things like side quests, Beast Tribe quests, any changes they're doing with Fates, the Hunt, role quests, Reaper and Sage job quests, UI updates that affect combat. All of those things fall in line with what we should probably expect to see. But how much time they'll spend on them is really the big question. I do, of course, expect any other major combat changes, if there are any, to be brought up when they removed TP or changed role actions or anything along those lines. Again, anything that is adjacent to affecting combat, to being intertwined with the game's combat, will likely be brought to the surface. And finally, I expect them to give us an update on the servers, on the world visit system, and I'm not gonna lie, I don't expect the greatest of news. I don't expect them to cancel it, but with the way things have been as of late, and with their difficulties in upgrading the server structure, it's hard to imagine that they'll feel comfortable releasing world visit system anytime soon. I think if our servers were in the same condition they are now, but they weren't popping as much as they are now, maybe we'd be seeing it in October. And I'm hoping that for the beta, we will still see it on October. I'm really hoping we will. But I am preparing for the worst of news, that World Visit will be delayed until sometime after 6.0. This is a prediction, not a fact. Please make note of that. So Yoshi P, please, I hope that it works out. But I'm not expecting good news in this department. And with that, those cover all the major things we can expect. I do, of course, expect at the end miscellaneous announcements. Reminder, there will be a live letter in November. They even mentioned about potentially doing a bonus in October, but we didn't hear about that last time, so I'm not too optimistic about that. Any other events that are coming up, reminder of seasonal events, the ongoing Final Fantasy 15 one, and I expect a couple of surprises, not just in the job-related stuff, but just in announcement-related stuff, because they've always given us surprises in this particular type of live letter in the past, and it would be a shame if we weren't surprised by anything this time around. But those job adjustments are the big thing that we are all looking forward to. So with that, that is going to be a wrap for this video. Now, if you want to catch all the information live, we're going to be hosting a big old State of the Realm extravaganza. We're going to be doing a pre-show where we talk and hang out and everybody gets to make all their predictions ahead of time with their wants, their needs. We're going to be running a bingo board where if we see certain things, we're going to set up certain predictions that the crew itself actually has and predictions we've seen in the community. And if we get a line, we'll be doing giveaways. We'll be giving away a Cruise Chaser mount to anyone who's in the chat at the time when the line actually gets scratched off. And to be honest, probably give away a couple of those anyway. And then, of course, we're going to be bringing on Ethis, who people have been waiting for, so we could do a lore show. He's going to be joining us for that, and I promise a lore show and an Airs video will be coming on 5.5 before Endwalker itself actually comes out. So it's going to be a great time. Join us for pre-show at 6 p.m. Pacific. When the show starts at 7 p.m., we will, of course, be doing our bingo board and all that fun stuff we just mentioned. So put that in your calendars. Come and join us for a good time, and hopefully you'll have a good time. And the link for my Twitch will be in the description because that's where it'll be hosted. Anyway, with that, thank you for watching. Be sure to like, favorite, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned because the channel been a bit quiet as of late, but as you can tell, it's about to be popping. Anyway, I'll see you then. Until then, take care.